Hey, and welcome to the new season of Coaching Couch. It's a very special occasion because it's the first episode of the new season. We have February people right here. You might think, hold on, what has Matt to do with February at all? But we'll get to that. I am joined by Super Bowl winning head coach, former media of the season, and February owner, BBL Predictions. Hello, Predictions.
Hello, Schmaxel. Good to be here.
I am also joined, as I just graciously announced, by BBL Savior, former BBL commissioner, and community favorite, Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hello, how's it going?
It's nice to have you two here. Now, predictions for you, it kind of makes sense for you to be here on Coaching Couch
Yes.
for February. Matt, the sole reason you are here is, well, actually, there are two. You're born in February, right?
Yeah, my birthday was just last week, actually, last Wednesday.
Oh, congratulations then.
Yeah,
Happy birthday.
yeah, thanks.
There is a second reason because you were the former BBL commissioner for
Yes,
one
I
whole
was.
season.
Yes.
And that is the season February won the Super Bowl.
Well, it was also the season 2 playoffs, which we didn't win, so
Yeah, now don't change
that also
topic.
happened.
Isn't that a little suspicious?
No, not at all, actually.
Why?
Uh, because I have okay, what does it matter? Like, I've already made it clear that I'm from February, but I never cared about who won the BBL.
Sure, I mean,
So
you say
to
that
me,
now.
yeah, I say that now, but I mean February's I can't change the fact that it happened that way. I mean February was inconsistent all season long and then they picked it up at the end of the year.
It's true. It's true. It's like the cold
It's all my
conference.
doing.
Yeah, it's cold conference always does this.
Yeah, I mean if I wanted February to win, I would have just made them do what November did. Instead, they kind of struggled up until the end of the season, at least from what I saw.
Which is very interesting. Because even up until the Super Bowl, February in every season they were the underdogs. Like no one believed they could do it at all, just
I
because
didn't
of.
believe they could do it last season.
Yeah, me neither.
I didn't
No
think they
one
had a
did.
chance.
I mean, the reason for that, at least from my side and from many of the coaches, is Howard, which is February 1st. Yeah, I don't know how he managed to win the Super Bowl and not even have bad stats at it, but let's be real. Okay, predictions. Look, do you share the opinion that Howard is not a good AI?
I think he's a clutch AI. I don't think he's a bad AI. I think he's a clutch AI. He seems to act in situations where he needs to, like the big games. But perhaps in those games, like the regular season matches, he wasn't really coming to light, was he? He was very under the radar during that time.
I mean, he barely moves, like barely turns, which we in coaching classify as a shitball.
Yeah.
Which is quite a harsh name, but it basically just means that the AI rarely moves. We've
But he's a good
seen.
shitball.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I
He's
think he
probably the
is.
best in that regard.
I mean,
He may be shit, but at least he's good shit.
yeah. Yeah. He's good shit. It's sort of like
Yeah.
Dwayne. That was at March 1st. Now May. Now back to March. Um, because Dwayne also barely moves, seems to never fall out for some reason that not a single person has figured out yet, and I don't know. He just ranked, I think it was second overall in player score per game in the regular season of last season. Which how I don't understand. It's just so stupid because you have AIs like
Yeah.
Simon Chapman, April 1st, who is just turning constantly and hitting so rapidly, and play so flashy, and you're thinking, wow, that guy's really good, and suddenly they get dwarfed by some dude named Dwayne or Howard that just doesn't do anything at all. Which just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but there is some sort of connection between playing good and not moving at all that we hadn't quite figured out until yet. Were you the first person to figure it out, though?
I think it was more just sheer luck, really. It wasn't really a coaching. I want to admit it is like a coaching, some sort of significance in coaching, but it isn't really. It's more just luck, I think, rather than coaching knowledge, I would say.
I mean, there is some sort. Okay. There is. Of
It
course...
was good during the draft.
Yeah, that's true. I was about to say, because you picked Howard up from the draft, and after that he did well. Everyone clowned on you for picking up Howard. Actually, me too. I'm not an exception to this. But we got all proven wrong, which now in hindsight feels kind of, we're still all on the Howard is so bad train, but. I mean, there's a little salt in there from our side, of course. Because
the thing with Howard during the draft and why I picked him initially was because he didn't fall out much. He was very much in the arena for quite a long period of time in each of his 3 combine matches. So that's kind of part of the decision making into picking him as my first player during the draft.
That's interesting because, I mean, me personally, I don't like talking about the season 3 draft. Some bad things happened.
I can't imagine why.
Some bad things happened there. I don't like it. But how do I put this? Maybe this is a very good strategy going forward. Just looking at who stays in the longest. Who knows? Maybe you refined the whole coaching game. We do have some questions from many people out there. Most of them being James Hetfield, who submitted like 23 questions.
Oh, wow.
Most of which were, when will you wear wigs? Have you worn wigs? And why do you wear wigs? Anyways, he also asked some serious stuff, and some other people too. Even people from like non-BBL Inside asked some questions, which it's been a while since that happened. It also been a while since the last episode, but yeah. I have an interesting one here that I want to ask the two of you, because we're lucky that we have 2 people here that are quite good at graphics. Quite good might be an understatement. Predictions, you're one of the most consistent person to like ever upload anything media related to the BBL. You've won media of the season. You output posts like every, 2 times a week?
I try to do it as much as I can.
Yeah, and you succeed with that because it's a lot, and you also never seem to have a period where it goes quiet.
No.
And somehow your quality still is on top. And for Matt, I mean, if anyone doesn't know, Matt basically does all of the graphics for the official BBL. So, yeah, they look good. They look really good. So the interesting question, which I kind of already know the answer to, but I would also love to just talk about some media. Who's the best media out there? Like, at all?
In terms of consistency or like just overall?
It's up to you to decide.
I mean, I like what Predictions does for the most part. Also, for the people listening, you'll have to excuse me. I've lost my voice. But I like Predictions page a lot because he gives a lot of the inside stats that I wanted to do with BBL stats a long time ago. I lost kind of the inspiration to continue doing it. I want to maybe get back into it a little bit, but I just got drawn away. But I like what he does with his page because that's what I had in mind, was like showing off all these random stats that had nothing to do with really just like day-to-day standings and stuff like that. I wanted to do more. This is what has happened over the season, or highlight certain players or teams, and he does that a lot. Half past 11 is also really good. But the thing that I find, half past 11, which is ran by BBL March, he is replicating a style of an already existing account, while Prediction is essentially making his own style, and I like that. I'm not saying that half past it's not a knock on half past 11 for replicating a style. That the style is fantastic, but Predictions is making these graphics on his own without a prior super, in-depth inspiration. I'm sure he's seen graphics like it before, but it's not something that he's looking at and replicating to a T. So I like it much more.
That's a good answer, yeah. I think half past 11 is very good, but also very different than BBL predictions. And not only because of the style. I mean, you're the expert on the style thing. But I think also half past 11 focuses on these narratives and storylines, where predictions feels like the neutral media, sort of. I know predictions.
Yeah.
Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I try to be as neutral as possible. I don't really have an alliance with one team. Maybe I'll do a bit of February content or September content in the past, but I try to keep it neutral. And I think half past 11 does too. I think he's done a very good job with his media. He won Media of the Season, of course, and deservedly so. He's done very well in the media regard. And March, in general, has been, very good at media throughout the BBL's history, and that's the same with Matt as well. And his BBL stats account, that was, a trailblazer in terms of media graphics. So I think he also deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Matt, you started out uh, basically as the first fan to ever get closer to the original creator, which is Gredo. I think because if I remember correctly, it's been over a year, so forgive me if that is wrong, but you started out by counting stats in the comment section.
So no, actually, the comments thing never actually happened. So what I did is I found the league and I immediately was like, you know what, this would be really funny to track stats for, and I could already make graphics and stuff, and I was already running a few other pages. Which, if you go back to my earliest posts, my graphics are really bad in comparison to what I have now. But that was just because I was using templates that I used for college basketball. In college basketball, you actually have images of players that you can have on the side. Where it comes to the BBL, you just have these player icons, and it doesn't work as well. Um, I think the issue with BBL Media, and this is just a side note, but the issue with BBL Media is there is no pre-existing content outside of the games themselves. So it's very easy to make content about something that already exists when you're trying to do something that is hypothetical. For like the BBL, you have to make it all yourself, which is why like pre-game shows and stuff like that haven't really blown up in popularity, because it's hard to make content on something where every single time you want to do a B-roll footage, it has to be something that you make yourself rather than something that already exists in the world. But anyway, so when I first made Big Ball League stats, I just made the posts about I came up with the stats, the knockouts, the fallouts, and whatever else I had at the time. I didn't have assists at the time, but I used this template that I was already using for my college basketball page and uploaded them on January 18th. I uploaded both the knockouts and the fallouts, and then 4 days after that, uploaded the MVP odds. But instead of actually sending the stats in the comments, I would just go in there and just say like, "Oh, this player finally gets their first fallout," or something like that. Like November 4th and 18th, when they first lost their first game of the season in season one, I was like, "Oh, they got their first ever fallout." So now everyone in the league has fallen out, and people immediately went to my page, and I grew to 5,000 followers from January 18th to February 19th. It took just a little over a month, and I gained 5,000 followers. It
Holy
was insane.
shit.
Ever since then, it's kind of fallen off because the BBL has like lost some followers. But yeah, it was pretty insane for the first bit there.
That's amazing. When did Skrill contact you?
So Skrello never actually contacted me himself. What happened was I started when I started getting a ton of followers. I was like, you know what? I'm going to create a group chat on Instagram so people can talk about the BBL because I was really interested at the time of talking with people. And I created the group chat. Somebody added him into the group chat because I didn't add anybody, or he joined on his own. I don't know which one it was because I had the link to the group chat, and only certain people could use the Instagram chat links at the time because Instagram loves to implement things and give access to like 1% of their user base for some reason. But he joined the group chat eventually and started talking to people. And this was whenever I had made this was right after I had made the post all the way back. It was the power rankings. And when I had used some logos on there because I wanted to add in some, because before I was just using text as their logo and I was like, this is annoying. So I made a few logos and I had some people make me some logos for other ones. But I went in and um, put all the, and he came in the chat and he was like, who has all these logos? Because I would love to use them in the simulation. And so I DM'd him and I was like, oh, what's your email? I'll send them to you. And I emailed all of the logos to him, and from then we just kept talking back and forth. And then he wanted to make a Discord, so I helped him set up the BBL Discord, and that was when we just kind of started talking back and forth.
So all of the logos that are used at the moment are actually from you and not from Skrill.
Yeah, so it was me and one of my roommates, who's prior roommates. He's just a friend of mine at this point. Worked together. Some of them used partially AI. A lot of them were used in, or some of them were made in Illustrator, and then the rest were made by my friend, who's an incredible artist. I think in January, September, uh, and maybe December. I can't remember. Oh, May. May is definitely AI generated, but a lot of these are actually hand drawn by my friend. I can't draw worth a lick, but I did a few SketchUps for some of this so he could, illustrate it better. But yeah, for like all of them are made by adjacent to me, so they were my ideas and stuff that I had forward. For some of them, I had no idea what to do, so I used Midjourney.
I hear this for the first time, actually. I'm not sure if this is my BBL dementia kicking in, but I didn't know that, actually. That's a nice fun fact, if you want to call it that. Um, Holy shit. That's insane. Predictions. When did you join in? When did you start with the whole... I think you started with the prediction tournament on Discord, I think?
Yeah, that's right. So I joined Discord as September 29th, which was my birthday. And yeah, I joined on February 1st. And then a few weeks later, when someone said in suggestions about a competition, that's kind of when I started implementing the BBL predictions. And I was trying to get someone to make a channel for the BBL predictions, and then it eventually happened. And then since then, the rest has been history, I guess. We've done several competitions on both Discord and then onto Instagram. And yeah, that's kind of where my, name kind of grew. And then, yeah, I went onto Instagram on March 15th. And yeah, I've been making content on there, just media stuff. And that's been improving ever since. So yeah, it's kind of been a bit of a long journey now. It's over a year now, but it's been a great opportunity, and I've really enjoyed my time here. So yeah, hopefully more months to come.
I mean, you still do the Instagram prediction thing, which I can only imagine is a lot of work. The Discord one, you don't do it anymore.
No, Discord's a bit it's not as busy as it once was, I will say.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Although we have seen some, like, at least a little movement on there in the past week, I think, or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it happened even before the season started, which is weird. I don't know how that came to be, but, well, we'll take it. Um, but now Thompson does a fantasy kind of thing, which you also started, and Coach Alex from November took that over in season 3 and
Yes.
finished that one. Do you participate? Like, does any of you participate in the fantasy format from Thompson?
I do not know much about the tournament by Thompson, to be honest. I only started the fantasy one myself, so I wasn't really talking to Thompson at that time, but he seems to be have started something, but I haven't checked since, so I don't know if it's underway or what's happening regarding Thompson's fantasy league.
Yeah, I think I mean, I participate in there. It's, I think, 18 participants.
Really?
Although, yeah, some of them have dropped out. Because
Oh, I need
Thompson.
to get involved in this.
I mean,
I haven't seen
I
this.
think you can. I think there is a spot
Oh,
now, and
really?
Matt, if you want to get in there, I think there are 2 spots. I'm not entirely sure. Thompson, if you're watching this, maybe you should DM these two kind gentlemen and ask them to participate. Um, because we
Yes, please
cannot
do.
count. Actually, for that one, we cannot count games from week 1. Um, because we are not done drafting. It's like
Oh man.
yeah, we had the Nations draft, which took forever because of
Yeah.
Thompson, and now Thompson started his draft too late. So some people in there take forever to draft, and we are not even through
Oh,
round 1, and we've already
oh
played
gosh.
over like 1.5 slates, which is, he gets what he deserves for letting everyone in the Nations draft wait for 24 hours. That's just what you get. Um, Now, coming back to
Karma,
media,
isn't it?
there is actually one last thing I want to ask you before we'll move on to some proper predictions. Um, for media newcomers, we've seen a lot of new media people, and you two, as renowned media masterminds, can maybe answer some of the questions that form around that. Of course, we had the house who had major success recently, which turned out to be ropes. Um, we also have some other people that try to bring their media more out there, even though they're not directly pure media accounts. Um, I personally also do that if I have time, which I recently had, but now I don't have that anymore. We have Palmer, for example, who is doing some good graphics, also has his cold show. We have Tall, who is doing some interviews. And all of these people, maybe, what is the essence of what you can give them that their graphics get to a, I don't want to say better level because they're not bad, but you get what I mean when I say to get their graphic level on a maximum. You know, what are the tips to media accounts or newcomers from the two of you?
Matt?
Well, I would just say find something that you think it looks visually pleasing and attempt to create something, not replicating it. Or I mean, you can start by replicating it, but eventually you want to move on to something that's your own flair. Because I don't have like I've always said this, and people think that I hate templates. I don't hate templates. I hate when you use a template and you claim it as your own creation. That is what makes me upset. I'm fine if you go on there and you find a template, you fill it out, you do what you need to do for that. You can also, if you want to be more creative, take something that already exists, replicate it to your best ability, or use a template or whatever, but then customize it to be your own flair. Rather, like, you have to come up with your own graphical style. If you copy someone else's for the rest of your creation career, you're never going to find enjoyment in making graphics. It's just going to feel like a tedious job over and over again. But if you actually get out and you make something of your own, and at the end of it, you can look at it and be like, "Oh man, I made that. I'm proud of what I've done." Uh, that's something. And the next thing that you really want to focus on is high res images, because the most of the time, the problem with graphics, it doesn't matter how bad it's laid out or if the font choice is wrong, which that's something else you need to get right. Um, but image quality matters so much. If you find a bad quality image, it is better to use an image that makes less sense for the particular post rather than using an image that makes more sense that is horrible quality. You need to find something that fits the screen size of an Instagram post and isn't going to take a lot of stretching, distorting, or pixelation. And then obviously, as I mentioned prior, font choice is very, very, very important. If you're going to use Comic Sans, it's not going to turn out well. But if you use, I just recommend using almost any sans serif font. Those fonts are always great because they're easily readable. They're boxy but not tacky. Uh, and then just framing is the next thing. Like make sure everything is legible and not like your back. If you have your a background like texture thing, make sure it's not too visible to overcrowd the image or anything like that. You want everything to be readable and not your eyes not to get lost on the page or focus on one thing that doesn't matter as much as the rest. I can't really give too much advice without having a physical media to show you what I'm talking about, but I think you can get the idea.
Yeah, I think what I will add on that is I think the most important thing is making something that you enjoy and something that you are proud of. I think you want to finish with a product that you are proud of and that you like. I don't think it's up to other people to decide whether they like it or not. It's kind of your your best critic in a way, and I think that's helped me a lot in my media journey. Is creating media that I like, and that just takes time. I wasn't a good media artist. I didn't know nothing in terms of graphics when I started, but as time progressed, I kind of learnt more. I started to experiment more. I started to, study more about the media and use more different types of graphics, so like shapes and different stuff like that, instead of like photos, perhaps. And I think that's just helped me become a better media artist. So what I will say is just make stuff that you enjoy initially, and then you'll probably get to a stage where you are improving, and just try and, each time try and improve yourself, try and make something that you like yourself. You are your best critic in a way. So yeah, try and make yourself something that you are proud of. A final product that you are proud of. I think that's key.
You heard it. That's from the two media goats. Besides Half Past 11, not trading on Half Past 11 here. That's some good advice. And I think it will be helpful for many people, me included, because I'm also kind of new in the good graphic business. Okay, moving on. Predictions. Your name is very interesting because you started out with the whole predictions thing. You then became a head coach, but you just kept the name.
Yeah.
Let's see if you still deserve that name. Because what we're gonna do now is we'll play predictions, predicting predictions with BBL predictions. I will share my screen with the two of you.
Yes.
And first up, we will look at your predictions for the season. Okay? Sort of to start out with. These are your predictions.
Yes, that is right.
It's fair to say there are some interesting takes in there.
Yes, there are indeed.
March not making playoffs is one of them.
Yeah.
September at first, February at third, which you as February owner calling February 3rd is, it rarely happens.
Yeah.
And also May making playoffs is kind of a miracle. So I'm surprised to see that there. Would you mind just like, what did you think? Why did you put teams where they belong?
I'll talk briefly about the ones that you picked up on. So firstly, September in first. I think, of course, there's partly a bit of September bias, but I think the draft was really impressive for them. So that's kind of my main reasoning. Many of the players that they took were actually players that we ourselves as February looked at and were like, putting as our top priority players. So for them to pick those players up, which are very good players in themselves, shows that September 5th, Coach Batshots, he of course has a very good understanding of AI, and I think the start that they had in terms of the pre-season and beating October, I think that shows that they are a team in contention for the playoffs and even the top spot. I think February in third. I think part of the reason was the transition. I think it's a transitional period for us. We've got a new head coach coming in, Jackson. Of course, he's gonna need time in order to implement his ideas into that February team. So I've put them a bit lower in third. I don't usually put February too high. I don't really want to consider ourselves as the favourites. I think that's puts a lot of pressure on us. And even though we've won the Super Bowl last time out, I've kind of put them a bit lower, so we don't have that really high expectation. And then for March, I put them in fifth. I think it's mainly the preseason, the 0-6. That was just really,
That was
really
rough.
bad. And yeah, I could not put them any higher, to be honest, just because of that. Maybe I could have put them in fourth or even third, but I think the 0-6 is just too hard to look over. It's such a significantly awful preseason that it's just, I've got to kind of use that as a marker in order to make my prediction. That's why I put them so low. And then May, it's going to happen at one point for May. I really hope so. And I think Robes, he did beat us today. So, there is that chance. And I think I just want to see May do something. So I'd put them fourth in the playoff contention just for pure optimism, just for pure hope that they do make it rather than any proper logic behind that. But they do have a chance, and yeah, hopefully they could do it this time around.
I mean, I hope so too for May.
Yeah,
It was quite a dominant win against Sylvia Snipes, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's right.
That's you need to achieve that. Like that's an achievement. That's pretty good to win against Sylvia, which shows high hopes for March. I mean, March did look pretty good in their first game. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, they did.
Sadly, they did, because we'll play them next, and I'm a bit scared. We'll play them tomorrow, actually. Excited to see how that one goes. I think we have a chance because we play the individually 3 strongest players we have. But let's see. Yeah, February starting out 0-2. That's rough, but teams did it. Yeah, teams turned around seasons before. Like we had every season. I think we had that one team that just suddenly turned the season around. Season 1 it was April. After that it was October, and then I don't know who was it later. Maybe also April, because Hot Conference is
or maybe June.
Yeah, because June, true. Because Hot Conference is always so competitive, and Cold Conference is like, just get 10 wins and you're in, or like 8 wins and you're in playoffs, because Hot Conference just masses on all of the wins. So what I'm gonna do now is that you will predict what Matt and my prediction was. We have 2 separate ones. You can start off with whoever you want. And after I will show the predictions and we'll see how much you did get right. Let's see if you deserve your name, basically.
All right, I'll start with let's start with Matt. See what he's got. So, should I start with the Cold Conference?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay, so I'll start from bottom to top. So I'll start with 6th. I'll go for... Who's Matt going to go for? I think he might go for someone like... I think he'll go based off last season, so I might put January in 6th. I think he might put January really low.
I was so happy seeing January on 4th on your list, because you've been one of the people that always doubted January.
Yeah.
No, you're particularly mad to put us last.
I think he's put January. I think he's done that just to annoy you. And
that
also,
would be really good.
He's used, his season 3 knowledge. And I think he might put... I think he's put December 5th. I think he's put December 5th because December usually finish somewhere around there. So I think he's probably thought a bit logically about that one and put the 5th just like me. I think in 4th he's put October. I think he's put October in 4th. Then I'll go 3rd for November. No, 3rd for September. 2nd February. And 1st November. So 3rd September, 2nd February, and 1st November, purely because they were so good last season. And then in terms of hot conference, I think Matt, he's probably putting May last. I'm pretty confident about that. I think he's yeah. And then I think he's put August 5th, March 4th, June 3rd, April 2nd, July 1st. I think he's probably gone off mine a bit. Try to do it kind of similar in that regard. So yeah, I think May definitely bottom and July definitely top. I think those are 2 solid predictions for Matt's predictions.
Okay.
Well, I
So-
will say, in terms of similarity in the hot conference, well, you can go to it, Schmaxel. It's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. Whoops, that one. Because yeah, the top 3 in the hot conference were absolutely
The our hot conference is exactly the same.
yeah. Oh yeah, true. You also
Okay.
put March there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you did. But the cold
Look.
conference.
Yeah, the cold conference is in it. So okay.
That needs some
Don't
explanation.
ask me about teams. I told Schmaxel this after I submitted. I was like, I legitimately have no idea. I'm going based off of just information that I have from last season and then people I know who got traded. So that's the reason March is so low is because they traded 31st and like why the hell who is running March? You're incompetent general managers. I'm sorry, you cannot trade your best player. I don't care. Whatever reasoning you had. March 31st has been the most consistent superstar in the league the last few seasons, and you gave him away for nothing. Now July is just dominant. But anyway, I digress from that point. February, I put them first just because I feel like they're going to be the first team to not have the season-long Super Bowl hangover. Maybe they will. They're already 0-2. But I feel good about them not being Super Bowl hangover. And then I think October is going to bounce back. I'm gonna believe somewhat in January because they've sucked the last 2 seasons, so hopefully they can finally do something.
Yeah, please.
I watched the first game with November and how Scooby-Doo has not been himself recently, so I put them kind of much lower at 4. And then September, December, September I didn't know. I don't know anything about the draft either, so that when you started talking about draft picks, I was like, oh no, are they actually good? Because I don't even know any of the players' names. I haven't looked into it, but September to me just didn't impress me last year. They started off the season okay, but it was both September and December just showed nothing to me last season, so I don't see how they could get so much better now, especially with their draft positioning. But maybe they did. We'll see at the end of the day. But yeah, the hot conference. I like May to finally make the playoffs. I think July is the best team in the BBL without a doubt, just because they have both. July doesn't even like to acknowledge that July 30th is good. He won an MVP. He's gonna be good. I'm sorry, I don't care. And then March 31st as well. Like whatever his number is now, he's incredible. And then April, I think, just continues to be the team that plays the same lineup every single game and does good. And then June, I think, has the most promising future with their roster. And I don't like what March did with theirs, so I put them low just because of that. And then August, I don't see much improvement happening with them. Maybe some few bright spots.
Not the Angela Stewart comeback from August.
Oh, absolutely not.
You also don't like Angela Stewart.
I mean, I've just heard her name too much.
Yeah, me too. Trust me.
Yeah, I think we all have.
Yeah, it's oh my god. I can't be bothered to put any sort of faith into Angela Stewart anymore. I did so a whole season. It didn't work out. Now I can't. I don't care. It's just terrible player. at least in my eyes. But that's trauma talking. So you're also a May believer?
I am. I just want it to happen at this point.
That's
also,
true.
May 28th is such a good player, in my opinion. If they can just get any piece around him that's kind of good, they can win enough games to make the playoffs. Because all you have to do is win like 11 or 12 games and you're in.
I think you're talking season 3, May 28th?
Don't tell me they traded him.
Yeah, they did.
I hate you guys.
They did. I mean, they have some solid different players in there for that. They have DeMarcus, who did play very well today against February, because I think he was the one to win against Sylvia. They have Hector, which was their round 1, who's still very promising. Sadly, they also have Mushu, who's...
Oh,
I'm sorry, just shit. Just looked so terrible in the game we've seen. It's so bad, and I'm so sorry for Ropes, but there also was this slight controversy with Mushu, because after 3 seasons, someone, I think it was actually you, Predictions,
yeah.
someone
I do
counted the
apologize.
stats of this single player, and they didn't add up to 150, but 160. So even though this AI had basically 10 points on dexterity more than it should have, still managed to be absolutely mid. Like, let's be for real. Mushu never was great.
It's the May way.
It's it's the May way. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's where this player belongs, but I mean, for May, okay, I'm not gonna say more, because my prediction is still needs to come up. Okay, how do you think I placed all the teams?
I think 6th. Who would you put 6th? October. Definitely October. You've definitely put October 6th. 5th. December. I think 4th you put February. 3rd November. Oh, 3rd. I'll go 6th October. 5th December. 4th September. 3rd November. Oh, I keep changing. 6th December. No. 6th
Maybe it's
October.
easier to go 1 to 6.
Maybe that's easier, yeah.
All right, yeah. 1st January. That's obvious.
Okay.
Yeah, 1st January. 2nd September. 3rd November. 4th February. 5th December. 6th October. Then on the other side, 1st July. 2nd. It's got to be April. 3rd, I think you've gone March. 4th June. 5th August. And I think because of robes, you put May last. I think you've done that. I think you put January 1st and May last. I'm I can imagine you doing that.
Okay, so funny thing. I had more hope in Ropes rebuilding May than I had in Ghost rebuilding March. Because Ghost, as his first move, decided to trade Joao to July. Which is not a good thing to do, in my opinion, and in everyone's opinion. But here are my predictions. I will put them on right now. So, we've already seen some games now.
Ember. Ooh, I need some reasoning behind it.
We've seen some games now, and well, October did some trades with us too. And basically, October traded away every single good player they had, gathered draft picks, and it seems like they are already starting to tank this season. Now, also a reason why I put them last and February right over them for not qualifying is because of the Super Bowl curse. I believe in that shit. Because it happened to me. And it lasts 2 seasons. And that's not something I know. That is something I am telling myself to feel better about that season. Because I couldn't take another season of January getting disqualified. I think now it's turn for October and February. And whoever wins next, and we know it's going to be a Cold Conference team because Cold Conference always wins because it's just a better conference. Like, whoever wins next, I'm sorry, but you're also going down, and October will use their tanking season, the second in a row, just like January, and come back and play in the middle ground of the Cold Conference. I think that's just how things go. As for November, yeah, I agree with Matt. I just don't see the shine of Scuba-Doo, and I'm kind of worried for them. Because they picked up Earl Towns from free agency, which many believe to be a very good move. And Earl Towns also was the only player left in 3 out of their 3 scrim games with Scuba and Hell in the game. And Earl lost every single 1-on-1. He also was the last in all the 2 games. All the 2 games they already played in BBL. And he also lost both of these. What I think is that he might be the reason that Scuba isn't working anymore with Hell. I think they disrupt each other too much, and Hell just doesn't have any clutch gene. Not Hell. I mean, Eartans, that's the name. Yeah. For January, yeah, I'm just coping. I just need something to believe in desperately. For December, I think the pickup they made in draft with Rich Covington was amazing, because in the scrim games that every team got 6 games to scrim against others at the start of the season. This was the postseason to test out some lineups before the actual season starts. And December with Leo Hayes, who's already he carried December basically all alone into playoffs last season, which is super scary because Joel can do basically the same, or even players like Jan could probably do that. Yeah, Jan had a team around him. It doesn't matter. Leo Hayes and Rich Covington looked so fucking good in the 3 games they played together. They looked so dominant, which is why I put them in second, because if they just keep playing Leo, Chef, and Rich, I think there's no way they will get below third at least. It's just too strong of a team. And September, they had a solid base with Alvin Case and Lona Vasquez. And now they had Evan Mason as addition, who did insanely well up until now. Showed a lot of clutch, showed very good DA. I just think it's one of these players that got kind of overlooked in the draft. And now will dominate the league, just like Loop Duke, who I, in the former draft, didn't have on my mind at all. And now he's very, very threatening in March. For Hot Conference, yeah, I mean, that one's July, April, that's a no-brainer. April also picking up Kabir Malek from the draft was insane, because I think that guy's really, really good. July, they have Jan and Joao, still have all of the players they need for their synergies to work. This will be probably the 22-0 season for July. And they're still not gonna make conference finals because they will get knocked out by June or, I don't know, maybe May in playoffs round 1. It's just what July does, but I don't know. They just seem so dominant. It's kind of stupid to think they were not placed first. March, sadly, I have to admit, I think that Ghost knows what he's doing. He traded away Joao. He took the risk. He got a lot of stuff for it. Like, he got a lot of picks. Then he traded these picks away for players. Then he traded the players away for a single round 1 pick. And they took Nika, who they now build their whole team around. They also have Tessa. They have Loop still, who's insanely strong. And I think he knows what he's doing. I think it will probably work out. Hopefully not against January, but I think it will work out, yeah. June, they had 4 round 1 picks, which is just crazy to have 4 round 1 picks. They picked a player that I would love to have on my team, which is Julian Gavino, who's insanely fast, but also insanely aggressive. They also have Benton Dixby, who's just one of these players that can lead a team into playoffs alone. They gave away Andrew Stewart, which October does still have. They didn't trade him, thank God. October does still have someone. I just don't think it will work that well for October than it will for June, or than it worked for June last season. As for May, I'm sorry, Ropes. I would love for May to get into playoffs, but the Hot Conference is just so stacked. Like, even August is not that bad. I think August could potentially make top 4 in Cold Conference with their core, because it's a heavy 50-50 core, because it's very fast. And you win against most slow cores with that. But in Hot Conference, there's just no chance. I think Hot Conference is so stacked right now. Because you have 4 teams that look insane. 1 team that's kind of stayed the same, but was kind of shit last season. And then you have May, who Ropes did try his best to rebuild it, but it didn't work out. Which, yeah. Let's see. They won a game today against February. That's a good start, but they need to still improve a lot. And maybe reel in some trades for that to happen. And get rid of Mushu. Just pick up any shitball from free agency and get rid of Mushu, because that player is ass. Doesn't fit with anyone on the team. Yeah, but you actually weren't that far off. You swapped August and May. You got Hot Conference completely right with me. Yeah, Cold Conference was a bit off. I mean, October last was right. Yeah. February almost right. November also almost right. Basically only January. Yeah, December and January were the only 2 outliers you had there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah.
I'm surprised about December. I did not know how good Rich Covington would be. Maybe he will be a future superstar.
Yeah, I mean, he's just really good with Leo. At least from the 3 games I've seen. I think it was only 2, because I think Leo fell out, or Rich fell out in 1 game pretty early, but the other 2, he was so dominant and it looked so good, even when being locked onto the same player, which is such a good sign for a synergy working. They still have to prove it. I mean, I would also, as long as January makes playoffs, it genuinely, I don't care. Let's be real, I don't care about how any of this will look in reality later on. I just want to make playoffs again. Just stop January from being absolutely shit. I don't want to be the next May. We already have a May. We don't need another one, please. That October.
I think January. This is their season. I think they look a lot better than they were last season or the season before. I think this is, the season for January to finally get playoffs again. I think they will do it.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we've been saying that every season now. It's kind of like,
that is true.
Every season I'm wheeling out the copium and just inhaling a deep breath of it and just being like, this is our season. We got round 1, pick 1. Nothing can go wrong. It will be a good player. That's it. Perfect. And that just doesn't work. Which, please, not again. Please. Okay, but that is it for predicting predictions with BBL predictions. Thank you, BBL predictions, for predicting our predictions.
Thank you. Oh, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
I mean, you did well. Maybe you earned
Yeah.
that name.
I'll be quite surprised with myself, actually.
Next up, I
Read people's
would.
minds.
Next up, I would love to do something with the two of you that I called rapid fire question round, which is basically I will ask you questions which are sometimes stupid. Some of them are from the community. Actually, a lot of them. And I just want you to answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. As less words as possible. And
Okay.
let's just see how this goes. And try and not think too much about it, because some of them are a bit stupid, I would say. Okay, I will just do it alternating. So I'll start with predictions, then I'll ask Matt.
All
Predictions.
Good. Yes.
Howard. That's a question.
Howard the goat, isn't he?
Okay, Matt, was the season rigged?
No.
Predictions. Why Howard? Why not literally anyone else?
He's just a clutch fool, isn't he? He's just amazing.
Matt, why did you rig it?
No.
Predictions. Why did you retire from coaching?
I don't know, actually, and I'm kind of regretting it now, to be honest.
Matt, would you rig it again for February to win, or would that be too obvious?
Yes.
What part of that?
Yes.
Predictions. Nachos with salsa or cheese sauce?
Salsa.
Matt, how much did predictions pay you to rig it?
An undisclosed amount.
Okay, that was rapid fire round. Thank you very much for participating in
Thank
that.
you.
We took away a lot there, didn't we? Huh, Matt?
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay. I also have a pretty. Let's see if it will be fun. I had an idea for a little game that I would like to play with the two of you before we get into more questions that are, not about media, but about BL.
That's good.
It's called Delete, Worship, or Introduce to Your Mom. I will
Okay.
now. It's
We
sort
need
of
some
like,
explanation.
yeah, it's basically Kiss, Marry, Kill, which
Okay.
Okay.
everyone
Okay.
knows. I will give you 3 people
Yeah.
from the community, and you will have to delete one from existence, worship one like it was a god, even though it's a normal human being, or introduce one to your mom. That can be on a friendship basis, or that these two get in contact with each other romantically. That's basically the game we're gonna play.
All right.
All right.
I've picked some interesting combinations for that. Would you like to start with BBL council members, player accounts, or coaches?
I'm
That's-
on the council, so I don't like that. Let's get that out of the way, though. I think
Okay,
that's
okay.
I think that's a good one to
Ooh.
get out of the way.
Okay, for the council members. Delete, worship, introduce to your mom, Thompson, Argonaut, and Romano. Matt, why don't you start?
I'm gonna delete Thompson just because he never responded to my DM on who should win Finals MVP. So, yeah, he deserves that. I'll worship Romano because he has done a lot for the coaching community, and then I'll introduce Argonaut to my mom.
So you would rather have Argonaut as your stepdad than Romano?
It's not my stepdad, no.
Well, you introduced him to your mom. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I
next,
just
so.
said what's up. My mom's married. happily married. I feel confident that she would just be like, cool. Anyway,
Okay. I mean, if you
I
trust
feel
Argonaut
very
that much,
confident.
it's fine, I
Oh, I
guess.
do.
Predictions. What about you? Thompson, Argonaut, Romano.
I think I would have to delete Thompson purely because of the draft and what he just did during the whole Nations draft. I just cannot forgive him for that. So he's been deleted, then there won't be any delays for any future drafts. I think I will worship Argonaut. I actually think Argonaut's quite a good coach. So I think I might worship him. And then I'll introduce Romano to my mum because, Romano, he's a humble guy. He's a very, well-mannered, well-dressed type of guy. Hopefully he won't do anything with my mum. But yeah, I think I'll introduce him to my mum.
You kind of got me with the delete Thompson thing because of the drafts.
Yeah.
For everyone that
yeah.
doesn't know, there is something called BBL Nations Cup now that is run by me. And every nation, like every coach, could choose a nation. Thompson chose Ireland. And then you can pick 3 players out of every single one and form your team. And it's a snake draft system. And he had first pick. He just managed to get first pick overall. Very first person. So I sent in the message into the Discord where all of this is organized. And I'm like, okay, there are the formalities. If you draft a player, edit it like this, format it like that, so it's easier for me to put it in the same, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of the message, I say, all right, Thompson, you're up. You can start whenever you want. Just anytime you want, just don't take too much time. And as stupid as I am, I also put in the message, yeah, it takes however long it takes. Please don't stress the person, because I'm thinking, well, if they wake up, they see it's their turn, no matter the time zone, they can just pick 4 days for 3 rounds, 24 teams. I think that's manageable, even though time zones are a thing. After all, it's snake draft, so it should cover a good amount of time zones there, And Thompson took 24 hours. And the wildest thing is that he even reacted to this message with, I think it was a thumbs up or a heart or something like that. Like he read it, just went offline without picking. So the whole Nations Cup was waiting for him to pick a single fucking player, which ended up to be Scooby-Doo. Which was to be expected, knowing the Stata Thompson. And everyone had to wait 24 hours for him. So I'm onto the delete. Oh no, actually, you know what? Although that is a good idea, I think I'm gonna worship Thompson instead.
Wow.
Because he's doing stats. And that's something the whole league relies on. So I think I'm gonna worship Thompson. I'm gonna delete Argonaut because he picked Julian Gavino in the draft, which is a player I wanted. Fuck you, Argonaut. And I'm also gonna introduce Romano to my mom because I'd be happy to have him in my family. I love it, Romano. This is a serious offer. Hit me up. Anyways, next up we have player accounts or coaches. Which one do you want to go for? Predictions.
Surely we'll do coaches last, so let's do player accounts first.
Okay. Matt, I don't know how much in contact with all of these player accounts you are.
Probably not at all. So
I picked 2 that you should be in contact in. Like one in the past, one in the present, and for one I'm very unsure about.
Okay.
We have a January 30th,
Okay.
who is quite active everywhere. We have September 7th.
Okay.
And we have April 11th.
Okay.
So, if I were to start this, for me it's easy. I'm gonna delete April 11th because, well, he's an April player. We don't like April here at January. It's a disgusting team. And everyone associated with it should probably not be a part of the community. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm joking. But still, I don't like April. So delete April 11th. Worship September 7th, just because of season 1. And... Oh, actually, no, wait. Maybe... Yeah, no, I'm gonna say
You did the last one.
introduce Jan 30 to my mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, worship September 7th. Because for Jan 30, at least I know he's 18. For September 7th, I'm not sure. Which, that would be weird. So, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yep. What about you?
Matt, do you know anything?
I'm
I'm just interested to hear.
I can't delete September 7th just because he was like the first player account.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I'm gonna delete January 30th.
Whoa.
Just because I don't know. I think it's funny. I'm gonna worship September 7th just because he was the first player account that I know of, and then I'm gonna introduce April 11th to my mom because I have no idea anything about him. So honestly, I kind of want to meet him just to see what he's like. So that'd be really funny.
And you would go from, yeah, I don't know that person, to introducing him to your mom instead of deleting it then.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, I don't know anything about him either. My mom would be like, "Who is this guy?" I'd be like, "I don't know. I brought him here for you to find out."
Okay, that's reasoning, I guess. Predictions. What about you?
Honestly, I would probably do the same. I just can't trust January 30th with my mum, so I'll probably delete him. And then worship September 7th. As a September fan, I'd already do that. And then I'll probably introduce April 11th to my mum. So yeah, I would do the exact same as Matt for that one.
I think, yeah, I mean, January 30th could be quite dangerous around moms.
Yes.
Because he's a little funny sometimes, you know. In the January group chat, he sometimes sends in voice, like audio messages, and he has such a British accent, and it's so funny because he does it when he's walking home from school, just walking through here, being like, I mean, I can't do the accent obviously, but he's talking about hopefully he doesn't get stabbed here, and he's just pretending to call someone, but he's just making a audio message for us so he doesn't get stabbed. Sometimes he's singing if we win a game. If we lose a game, he's trying to write a motivational thing, but it's barely readable because he just, I don't know how that guy types. He has autocorrect off, and I think he does. It's all over the place. You cannot decipher what he's typing sometimes. So, I mean, yeah,
I love January 30th.
Yeah,
I love January 30th, but I just can't trust him. I'm sorry.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Yeah, so buddy, you're getting deleted. Get ready to learn Chinese. So for coaches, I had two ideas. I thought maybe I could pick sympathetic faces here, that sort of resemble the good side of coaching. You know, maybe put Romano in there again, or September 5th, who's quite a nice guy. Some other people like Bill that have quite a good reputation. Wow. Alex, because we have two Alexes in head coaching positions, although November Alex isn't the head coach anymore. Josito, we had a lot of good coaches. But I did go for the exact opposite and picked three worst people that I could ever imagine that one of them would have to meet your mom. So we have Blossom, Ropes, and Ghost.
Okay, see, this
This
is
is
great
awful.
because I know nothing about any of these people.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah,
yeah, like
you're
I've heard
fortunate.
their names 1,000 times except for Ghost. I think he's newer,
No,
maybe. I
that's
don't know.
January 15, like March head coach. He
Oh,
was known as
see.
15, like everyone calls him 15.
Okay, see, yeah, again, I've talked to these people, but I know nothing, next to nothing about them, so this is perfect.
Okay.
All right, I'll just get it done with. Let me see here. Okay, so there was Robes, Ghost, and who's the third one? Oh,
Blossom.
Thompson,
No, Blossom.
Blossom. Why did I
Mhm.
say Why did I say Thompson? I'm gonna delete Blossom just because he kept crying to me about some the April lineups in the LBL, and I know it was a joke, but like, shut up. And then after that, I'll worship Robes just because he beat me in the graphic competition thing that we did. Even though I was using MS Paint, I loved his graphic that he did. It was hilarious. It was amazing. I don't know why I said it was hilarious. Uh, and then I'll just introduce Ghost to my mom, and then she'll be like, "Who is this?" And I'll be like, "I don't know, some dude named 15." And then that'll go well.
You just keep introducing random people to your mom that you don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, it. I'm scared, so I need my mom to tell me what's going on here.
So you're relying on the judgment of your mom.
Exactly, dude. I just asked her about some credit cards I should apply to today, so I need her opinion.
I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. Predictions. What about you?
Predictions died,
Predictions is
so I don't know.
probably dead.
I am alive. It just cut out at the worst
Okay,
point
okay,
there.
okay.
I think it would be better if I didn't say anything about these three, because I probably wanted to do all of them, to be honest. But
I can get behind that.
uh, I think I have to delete Blossom.
Yeah,
I just can't trust this guy.
yeah.
He is just he's bad. He's bad. Worship. I guess it has to be Robes, because he seems the most sane out of of the three. I think.
Although
I
he's
mean, he
not
has
sane.
parts. He has parts where he's sane, and then parts where he isn't. Most of them, he is insane, but he seems the most sane.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then Ghost. I don't want to do this, but I have to, because it's the only option left.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll have to introduce him to my mum. So yeah, that is the three, and that is pretty awful.
Yeah, that is pretty awful. Because
Yeah.
for me, it's also pretty obvious. I don't want to worship Blossom because he just doesn't deserve it. I also don't want to introduce
No.
him to my mom because he would absolutely ruin that woman. Um, and my whole family probably. So Blossom is the only one. It's like, yeah, I need to delete that one just for the good of the world. Ropes. Ropes is rough because I'm scared that if I'm gonna introduce him to my mom, that he just, I don't know, gets a mental breakdown. It just does something stupid. Just because he's head coach in March. And let's just say his past few posts weren't. Didn't shout, I am a sane human being. They shouted the opposite. I think I'm also gonna do the same. Even though introducing ghosts to your mom is it's bad. It's like a death wish. But a death wish to your own mother, it's terrible. Um, no, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna introduce ropes to my mom, and I'm gonna worship Ghost because I think both of them are decent coaches. Now Blossom is April's coach. He sucks. Um, but Ropes and Ghost are decent coaches because obviously they learned from one of the best, and they were January ACs for a longer time, and yeah, I think Ghost has a solid rebuild going on with March. I'm gonna worship him, even though he doesn't deserve it, and I'm gonna introduce Ropes to my mom. It's the more safe option, for the sake of my mother.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We have some finishing questions. Um, and I do want to point out that many people in the whole BBL have been coaches now. We have some team pages that turn to coaching. We have players that turn to coaching, quite a lot actually. But most importantly, there is a single person in this whole community that has never even touched anything related to coaching, but still is one of the most prominent figures in the whole league. Matt,
Oh no.
why are you not coaching a team? Like, not even assistant coaching.
I don't watch enough of the games to really know what's happening in terms of like setting lineups and stuff. I've been asked to be a coach before, and I'm just like, I'd rather not deal with that. I mean, I'm an assistant coach for the Hong Kong team in the Nations thing, but that's just because March asked me if I would do it, and I was like, does it require anything? And he said, no, just your name on the list. And I said, okay. Um, I mean, I'm not against coaching completely. It was just like a matter of I would have to go and like learn all the players and stuff like that, try to understand how to beat certain teams, and I just didn't really want to deal with all that stuff. So that's pretty much the main reason why I haven't been a coach. I'm not ruling it out entirely for the future, but it isn't something that I'm prioritizing at the moment.
Which makes sense because you also were commissioner. Which now that I'm co-commissioner myself, I know how much time and effort it takes.
Yes.
It's terrible. It's absolutely draining, but I'm glad Romano and me are in there together now. Also glad you trusted me with that responsibility. And I can see why you gave it up. But now that you're no longer commissioner and don't have to worry about that, is there any chance that you will get into coaching?
I mean, yeah, if the right teams offer me positioning depending on what they want me to do, then yeah, I could potentially look into coaching. It just depends on who's interested in me, obviously, because I've made it very clear in this pod or in this recording today that I don't know anything about the rosters. So I don't know how many teams are like, yeah, I want him as my coach. But I mean, depending on who asks, I would consider options. We'll see.
Are there any names you want to throw out there if they are asking?
Um, I mean, obviously I'm a February fan, but they already have a coach who's like pretty. He was the October guy before, and they made
Oh
the
yeah,
finals. So I think he's pretty set in his ways there. But I mean, I don't know. I'd be down to try with any team that needs help. I don't really have any problems.
should go to May
Or October.
or October. Yeah. Also, Bill returned today. Um,
I
I
saw
just I
that.
just saw that, and I'm surprised how that will end up. If Bill will go back to October, if Johnny Buckingham will give over the head coaching after trading away two very good players, I'm surprised he returned because I thought it would be a longer break he was gonna take because I think it was out of mental sanity or for his mental health that he took the break, which is always understandable. Um, I just hope he didn't rush the decision and that he's doing well now. But he's looking for a team right now. And a coach like Bill, I don't know what you two think about that, but in my opinion, a coach like Bill, he should get a head coach offer, no? Like having Bill as
I
AC
would
seems kind of
think
wasted.
so. Yeah, I mean, he won a
Yeah.
Super Bowl or Super Bowl. I
Mm.
don't think you can discredit that no matter the circumstances. If you win a championship, you deserve a head coaching position for at least another year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the toughest situation, and I think the good thing is that HCs nowadays they're kind of set. There's lots of coaches nowadays, so it's going to be tough for someone like Bill to get back into that HC spot. But of course, he deserves it. He's done incredible things at October. So yeah, if the opportunity arises, I'm sure he will take it.
That's true. At least I wish for him to get a head coaching offer, because I think some teams still have room upwards. Of course, not dropping any names there, but there are some. Also, for you, predictions. You said you kind of regret retiring from coaching now that the season started. Do you miss it? He died again.
Ooh, it's cutting out at
There is.
exactly the wrong.
There he is. Did it cut out again?
Yes.
no.
I think it did.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The audio's coming to bite.
Did you understand my question?
No, because
Okay,
it's
okay. You said earlier that you kind of don't enjoy not being head coach anymore. That you would like to be head coach again. Why is that? What do you miss?
I think I just enjoy winning. I really enjoy winning, and I think, being at the front line of something like a HC does, because the HC is like the biggest role for any team. So I would just really want to be back into that role again. And if the opportunity arises, in terms of that, I will be happy. But my focus is on February and helping the current HC Jackson, develop. Of course, February haven't had a great start, but it's always that transitional period that we are trying to work out. So that is my main priority at the moment.
So you're still active in the coaching background. I mean, obviously you're GM, you're always sort of active in the background, but also for helping out Jackson in some decisions you are.
Oh yeah, well, I'm trying to let Jackson do his own thing, to be honest, because he is the HC. He needs to gain that independence to be a HC, but of course I'm always willing to support him as well as the other ACs.
And that's also maybe an interesting question. Why did you exactly pick Jackson? Because I think there are some coaches out there that are, I don't want to say better, but definitely more experienced than him. Especially in teams where, there is more communication happening than maybe there was at October.
I think the main reason, I think we were trying to be really quick in terms of appointing a HC. We did initially ask Thompson, but he rejected. So we kind of tried to get HC quickly. So we did go for Jackson because he's on the Discord, and I was trying to teach him through the Discord. And, I feel like he's got some potential there. It's just about maximising that potential that he does have. And that's, of course, going to take time and also a bit of experience from me and the people around him.
That makes sense. It's interesting that you mentioned Thompson there, because he was also one of the first person come to my mind.
Yeah, we did. We were scouting.
Yeah. I also remember you asking me about Giovanni Buckingham.
Yeah, we did.
And then I told you I don't think he's quite ready yet, which I still stand by that opinion, I have to say.
Yeah, well,
even though he's October head coach now.
Yeah.
I think he should maybe have not taken that spot. But I think the return of Bill is a very big opportunity, because I know Giovanni is also born in October, and that was his initial goal, like to get into October, but he decided for January because of the learning opportunity. I think now with Bill coming back, maybe they could do like a split head coaching thing, like January season 1 had, where they don't have a clear head coach and try to work it out together, which is also why I always have at least one person as a GM around to help me make very important decisions, like trades, discussing things, because that helps a lot, even if you have a lot of experience like Bill does, and especially if you don't have a lot of experience like Giovanni does. I think that would be a pretty good idea for them to maybe do that, but obviously we don't know where Bill is gonna end up. it's all in the stars, so to say. Um, another.
Yeah, I think Bill.
Yeah.
I think Bill should, like you say, be a HC or GM or something at October. I think October really need that experience in terms of coaching if they really want to go for playoffs this season.
Yeah, it's also Bill is, the face of October, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now October Barstool is the GM, I think. I don't think he would ever deny Bill because they're pretty close, as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
Another team which has a interesting situation is August. Because for the third season in a row, August do have no assistant coaches that I know of that are active. It's just Alex doing his thing. What do you think about that, Matt? Maybe do you have any opinions on that? Because you're not into coaching, but do you follow the whole coaching scene that much even?
Well, I think it's the same with December right now. Does December have anybody that's active outside of Harry?
Yeah, they have Rebel T, who is the team page and also AC, and he's doing a lot of work and very good work, I might add.
What about I don't even know who's on any of the teams anymore, but like for the longest time it was just December that had one guy, and then as far as August goes, I think they need help. Personally, I think they're in need of a GM because I think every team needs a GM, not just August, but every team needs to have somebody who can just be a pure player scout, look around the league, ask teams who's interested in trading, and let the coach just focus on watching teams day by day, discovering how to beat certain lineups with your player composition. I think you need a GM, you need a coach, and then you need a scout, a talent scout, something like that. That should be your 3-man team staff. And maybe Alex needs to look into if he wants to get. I don't know if he enjoys coaching, if he's only doing it because there's no other August people. But if he truly enjoys coaching, maybe he can stay a coach and look for one of those positions. Or if he wants to move up, maybe he can become that talent scout or GM and just hire a new coach in replacement of him. But yeah, August definitely needs to. I mean, every team needs to have at least 2 or 3 staff members at the very minimum.
Yeah, I agree. I think for many teams it's also that they don't quite, that's hard to say, but I think many teams don't quite know about that structure, because where would they know it from? Of course you get some insight into like big sport teams, like in, I don't know, basketball, football, anything like that, any big sport, you get some insight into the coaching, but a lot of teams stay very closed about that. At least from the sport that I watch, and for the BBL it sort of is the exact opposite. Like every team is super open, is basically looking all the time for ACs, and there are some teams, me included, January included, that basically they want to be first whenever there's a new person and offer a coaching position because, out of the coaching, there are some of the most active members of the community born. And that's sort of how it's always been in the BBL. And I think nothing will change about that just because of the control we in the council give over to coaches. And I think some teams, namely August, June, and what other teams are there? I think all other teams are sort of good there. August, June, maybe April a little bit should look more into the community side of things. Because right now they don't have a lot of access to the community. To name September, for example, they have a large fan base. They have a fan chat, I think, and I don't know if that one's still active. They have some player accounts. November, just the same. They have a lot of ACs that are also active. Josito just took over, which is a great fit for November overall because he's also very smart in what he does. December has the 2-man team that could put more effort into maybe getting player accounts. Rope tries that with May right now. October has Barstow, who does a great job with that right now. I don't even need to say something about July because they're just very good at that. Yeah, I mean, most teams have that, but for August and June, I feel like I don't know if they don't want to deal with all that and organize all that and just like have this one more thing that you just basically need to take care of, because it's at the end of the day, it's just time that you will give up. You're giving up a lot of time. You're putting a lot of time into that. And I don't know, they just don't want to do that. But I think they should, if they start looking for people, they should start looking for people to do that and build up the community, because I think AC's player accounts, all of that will come when you're more active and more engaged with your fans. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with you, Schmaxel. I don't really need to add too much onto that because what you've said right there is completely correct. I just think June and August in particular, like you said, just need to branch out a bit. I think they're really lacking in that regard. And the best teams do that. The best teams try and build an organisation. I think that's one of the key components in what builds a successful team, a Super Bowl winning team, is trying to build some sort of organisation around the team, some sort of fan base around the team. And I think August and June are just lacking that in that regard. They need to branch out a bit more. And I would like to see Alex and Argonaut doing that a bit more.
What about you, Matt? What do you say to that?
Yeah, you say that there's not really a model for that, but I mean, every single sport has, like even college sports now have these roles where you have specifically you hire guys. Normally, it is you have a head coach who runs both sides, offense and defense, and then he kind of recruits players and stuff like that. But in sports nowadays, you have a guy you hire specifically for your defense, specifically for your offense, specifically for your special teams if you have those, specifically for all these different categories, recruiting. Um, maybe this player that you, or maybe this person that you hire is really experienced on. They've coached certain talents to the next level in like college sports. Like I'll just use the team that I follow a lot of, which because it's the school I go to is Kentucky. We hired a guy by the name of Jason Hart this offseason. Jason Hart recently coached in the G League, which is the level below the NBA. So he has a lot of connections to NBA teams and NBA level coaches who players love to come and play for. So if you get a player like Bill Belichick as your talent scout, you can have a lot more players and a lot more people interested in joining your organization just because they want to be close to that guy or have be with the connections that he has. And every single team needs an organization of staff members around them like that in order to operate successfully. Because otherwise, you're having to manage. Like you mentioned, managing people. Well, if you have more people, it's easier to manage an individual person and their actions rather than it is to manage all of the other things that they would do. You have to now do them because you're on your own.
I mean, I got nothing to add to that. I think as far as the outside BBL sports go, I think you're probably the most experienced among us here, Matt. I think it shows because you're very, very, very right in that. I have tried my best in January, and now I'm at a point where if I should take like a 2 or 3 week hiatus, everything will run basically alone. I could do that. I think that's a goal for every team.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, and there are less and less teams that have that it seems, but I think we're on the uprise again. Like when I look at the league, when I look at the amount of viewers, it's relatively consistent now. We had a time where it dropped and dropped and dropped, and it just didn't stop. I think it's stopped now. Obviously, it's start of the season. Games get more views. That's totally normal. It will fall off a bit. But we're like hovering around this 4,000 or 5,000 views per game mark. which by all means is not bad.
Yeah.
We're just used to some games achieving millions, which wasn't the norm. It was just the boost we had. And obviously the community was way bigger, but like this is still a very big community. And every team still has a lot of fans, even if it's casual fans. I think they could be included a bit more from the teams themselves, especially now that after season 1 we tried and turned around all of that and making it more official for the teams by outsourcing the ownership. Like we literally took the ownership of the teams in this online sports league, because that's what it is, and outsourced it to active people. So maybe some people also don't realize that they have this absolute and full power over their team, or they just don't want to do the work and go there and hit people up, which I also understand, but I think it has to be done. Staying on the team mark, I have a opinion, and I would like to hear your arguments for or against that, because it was some time ago, but in any group chat, there sometimes comes up the debate of the historically best team in the BBL, and you always have Blossom screaming that he was in the Super Bowl 2 times, always made playoffs. You have July who are saying they're super stacked, they're so extremely good. You have December also being like, yeah, we also made every time we made playoffs. At least I think they did. And we're also a consistent mid-tier team, maybe not the historically best, but at least one of the most consistent ones. Then you have March also in there, and every team tries and screaming they are the most consistent, best team all the time, historically best BBL team, basically. I think it's not a match at all that the historically best team is July, because they made playoffs every time, even though they failed twice in the first round. Made finals once, like Super Bowl once. They had 2 out of 3 MVBs that existed so far, which is still an amazing statistic to have. And they have the best roster, with also being extremely well organized. No little thanks going there to Romano and Hall, obviously. So yeah, what are your opinions on that discussion? Because there are always a lot of voices screaming in group chats, and I think being able to just speak your mind for once without 100 messages popping up in between can clarify a lot of positions, at least from the two of you.
Predictions, you can start.
I think the historically best team is actually April. I feel like it's April over July, but this is just history. I think this season, especially if July win it, they will be the best team historically, and I don't think anyone's gonna match that feat. Even if after season 5, I still think July will be the best team. If they do in the Super Bowl, they will be hands down the best team, untouchable. But I think right now, looking at the past 3 seasons, 2 Super Bowls for April, I think that's just cannot be compared. I know July have reached it once, but April have done it twice. They're the only team to do it, and on the other occasion they reached the playoffs. So I think I'm going for April over July. I think September and March are also good candidates, but I think April, historically, past 3 seasons, they have been the best team in the BBL.
Genuinely, I was thinking April at first, but after thinking about it even more, I've actually decided that, in my opinion, it's actually February. And the reason that I want to say that, so season 1 was the only season where we didn't have AIs determining the teams, which means that it was completely random on who wins. So 50-50 chance for every game. They didn't make the playoffs, whatever. I think they finished like 5-7 or something. Maybe it was 6 and or no, there was only 11 games. 5-6, something like that.
Yeah.
The next 2 seasons they were a 1 seed and then they won the Super Bowl. The 1 seed they disappointed in the playoffs, which was unfortunate. Lost in the first round, but they were the 1 seed in the cold conference. And then the very next year they come back and they win the Super Bowl. If we're talking about pure results, being the number 1 overall team in the cold conference and then winning the Super Bowl the very next year is pretty impressive. So I would definitely say, like, outside of season 1, they've been very consistent and the best overall team last year because they won it all and they've defeated the team who I thought prior to that, at that very moment, that November last season was the best team we've ever seen individually in a season.
True.
Because they just dominated every single game. But yeah, I think in terms of consistency and results, February stands atop the league.
It's an interesting take because I don't think I ever heard that one. Because everyone always factors in season 1, which obviously I'm quite happy about that, but I can also see the reason for not doing that. But even if you're not factoring that one in, I think July is just too dominant overall to still disregard in that discussion. I think February have they been first seed overall? Yeah, they have been, right? Or just cold conference?
Yeah, they were tied for first seed overall in season 2 with whoever I think it was July as well, and
July.
in season 2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. If you go by that, then yeah, no, that's true because July has been second or like tied first and then second, and or maybe even
And last season,
third,
February was tied for second best overall record as well.
and winning it, yeah.
Mhm.
Damn. Okay. That actually makes sense. Although I kind of want to say something
Even if you
against it,
factor
but
in
yeah.
season 1, I mean, missing the playoffs 1 time, I mean, it's the same as losing in the first round, is it not?
I wouldn't say so, because then you at least finish top 4, potentially top 3, which is still, middle of the pack for the whole conference. But I can see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, after all, what matters is like conference finals is where it starts to really feel good as a team. If you make conference finals, you're top third of the league, which is a very good feeling. Everything below that kind of it's like wasted potential. But some teams need to fill up that space. It's just how sports work. Yeah, I mean, I kind of don't want to have it true that February is that good, but I guess they are. After all, it's the February special we're on here, so it makes sense that we have come to that conclusion. Is there anything the two of you would like to ask each other, me, just throw in there, just anything you wanna talk about?
Well, I know this is the
Hey,
February special, but I'll ask you, what are your expectations realistically, not optimistically, realistically, what are your expectations for your team this season?
Oh, that's rough. I think I placed us third. I think overall, yeah, I placed us third in the cold conference, and I think that's probably realistic. I think we will finish around a 0.5 mark. And I think that's also realistic. We can win some lucky games against very good teams. We have some individually extremely strong players that, like, almost our entire roster consists of players that can reliably win one-on-ones. And our job this season is just to make sure to use the home advantage as much as possible to filter out the players that have the highest chance of winning clutches. Because I peaked a little bit at last season and decided that my approach is not going to be July's in building slow core and around synergies, but April's in just farming good players, even though April only had 3, but just farming good players. And whoever is left in last, he still has a high chance to win. Doesn't matter if he's 1v1, 1v2, or 1v3. That is my approach this season. And I think by doing that, you factor out a lot of games where the last person in, like in November's case right now, is someone like Towns, who is just not a good 1v1 ball. Or to be someone like Dwayne left, for example, for March or May last season, where you have a potentially one of the weakest players of your lineup in their last, and having to hope all game that it's that one player remaining and that one player clutching you the game. I didn't want to have that anymore because we had enough of that last season. It didn't work out. I fucking hated it. So now I'm just gonna go, just give me any player that can potentially win 1vx situations, and then I don't care who's left. Just finish that job, reel in the clutch points, and the realistic goal is to get above 0.5 this season. And I think that's not too high, because I think by making 0.5 against this hot conference too, I think that should be enough for core conference to make playoffs, which that would already be a big improvement for January, let's be honest. So yeah, I think that is the goal and also the expectations. After that, I'm really unsure. I think we could win against every team in cold conference in a series. Toughest opponents would probably be February and November, just because they're faster teams, and I think we won't do well against faster teams, because we don't quite have that tool that can manage this fast play style. We have Godric Van Christens, who is very good, who was a round 1 pick 1, January 22nd, who is a bit faster. He has 40 speed, that is to basically counter all teams that are slower than him. But how well that will work out against teams that are faster than him, I don't know. I think it won't go that well. So these are the teams I'm most scared of, at least for co-conference. I think against the rest, we are actually quite favored. Like against September, it's even. Against December, we should win. Against October, we definitely win. The other two, it's gonna be rough. And for Super Bowl, if we play against July, I'm confident we'll win, just because we have a similar core. And in theory, we do have players that all individually counter the whole July lineup. April will be a 50-50. March would be rough, because I fear that March will have a faster core against ours. Same with June, same with August, and against May, I think we should win. So hot conference is the real enemy here for us.
I think the main aim for February is to not be a part of the Champions Curse. I think that's a key aim, but I think with the regular season, it's all about just qualifying for the playoffs this time. We're having a transitional season with a new head coach we're trying to bring in, and we're hoping that we can try and, sooner or later hit the ground running and start to kickstart our regular season campaign. We need to qualify for the playoffs again. That is our expectation. And we have let the head coach know, Jackson, that this is our expectation for the regular season, and we won't be accepting anything less than that. So we want to finish in the top 4. Hopefully, in the top 3, but we'll see how that fares. But yeah, top 4 is the expectation during the regular season. And then the playoffs, I mean, who knows in the playoffs? Anything can happen in the playoffs. It's a bit like a penalty shootout in a way. There's a bit of luck involved. And of course, any team can, get a bit of a run going. Of course, we want to win it again. That is, the dream. But we have to be realistic. We want to get into the playoffs. Then we'll just see how it goes from there, whether that'll be a round 1 exit or hopefully something better. Conference final, I'll be really happy with that. That'll be like a really good season for us. But of course, the expectation, qualify for the playoffs, see what happens from there. And hopefully, we might get a two-peat go. You never know. Double, but we'll see. But yeah, playoffs, that's the aim. That's the expectation for the regular season at this moment of time.
I'm quite curious if you should see that the trajectory of February is not headed at a playoff direction. Would you consider stepping in and taking back the head coach position, or would you just, let it happen and make it a learning experience to let it sound rough? But what would you do then?
I think the logical answer to this is I won't comment on this actually. I think I might keep this silent because I just hope we don't get to this situation where we do, have to make a tough decision. I hope that we just, this is just a bump in the road, and hopefully from here on, if it gets to a stage where we are 0-6, 0-5, in a very bad state for a team that have just won the Super Bowl, then we'll be asking the questions. I hope it doesn't get to that stage, and I hope we don't have to make the tough decisions that we might need to make. But yeah, hopefully we don't get to that stage. If we do, that's the decision there that me and the team, the board have to make. But hopefully we don't get to that stage.
That makes sense. I think also that's the best answer you could have given, just not commenting on that.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much about our future regarding that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Also, not to
Yeah.
curse anything about February, of course. I still think you
Yeah,
have a
let's
chance
hope
at
not.
making playoffs, even though my predictions doesn't make doesn't make it seem like that. But I just think, like, once again, the conferences itself, there is a huge difference from one conference to the other in terms of power level, but there is just, like, within the conferences, it's so close. I think there are clear teams that will get eliminated in each conference, like one team for each. There is one team for each conference that will for sure make playoffs, but other than that, it's just like, it's crazy. It's so competitive again. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for being on then, Predictions and Matt.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure. And next month, I will be recording the episode 2 of this season with Thompson and Lemarch. And maybe Ghost
Thompson.
if he decides to join in. Yeah, Thompson, I will.
Not Ghost. Not Ghost.
Maybe Ghost if he decides to
Is
join
Thompson
in.
going to be late for that?
Yeah, he probably will.
I can imagine him being really late for that.
Yeah, Thompson.
He'll probably think it's on the following day.
Thompson be like 24 hours late for it. Yeah, it would be in character for him. Hopefully not.
Oh gosh.
But yes, expect this episode, like the episode to be released around the time of recording, which also people like the middle of the month. That's the goal for every episode, and hopefully this series will go on, depending on how much time each of the teams have, of course, how much time I have.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is it for the first episode. Thank you so much for joining in, and see you next
thank you.
time. Goodbye.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.